This is why we have awesome detailed peeps around us, like Jonathan. I love you, Jonathan. The simple shit. We focus on the big shit. The simple shit that makes things happen is Jonathan.
I can dissect the meaning of life and the cosmos, but I can't push record.
Uh-huh.
All right, so let's see. Okay, Marsha. More money. Find a new partner, as in life partner. So life partner, just order that attracting genuine love. Anybody who doesn't have their ideal mate and would like to have their ideal mate, order a book called Attracting Genuine Love by Gay Hendricks.
And your wedding vows one, Chris. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, so yeah, Conversations with God wedding vows as well. If you want to set the context for the most epic relationship of consciousness, read Conversations with God wedding vows. It's a very short read, and it will be a game changer.
And Jonathan, yes, you can use that for people in relationships, especially the Conversations with God one that Chris is referring to, is just really understanding. It's like if you guys have heard Chris talk about, I don't know, Chris, if you've ever shared your experience of you and Megan and the kind of vows that you guys created and did and what, real conscious relationships look like. You've always talked about how it's not, we get married and you sign a paper and you're mine forever and it doesn't matter how the fuck I show up. It's more of a, if it's ever a disturbing relationship, then you can walk away. If they're never, and I love, guys, how when Chris and I really dug into relationships, one of the things that struck me, he said to me was, if someone is open to growth and feedback, I will hands down walk through the gates of hell with them. As soon as they're closed and they are not open to growth and feedback, I'll walk away from any relationship, be it a client, be it a spouse, be it anything. Because that's when it's like you go into a heroing persona and there's, everyone's in freedom of their own choice. But the vows one, Jonathan, is just really kind of supports the type of relationship obviously Chris lives in, and the a conscious relationship, which is understanding it's your choice of how you choose to show up and like what real conscious relationships look like. So I'd recommend that for anyone that's either in a relationship or wants to build a conscious relationship and attract one.
Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. I just realized my new watch said, "Hey, you've been sitting too long. Get off your ass and move."
Is that why you just stood up?
so never mind that I already beat my 1 mile record this morning, and I already ran for an hour plus and swam 1.25 miles and ran 8 miles today, but get off your ass and move, it says.
That's awesome.
So if I stand up occasionally, it's tracking all my steps. I've got 14,200 steps so far today.
Which watch is this? This is new.
It's my new Garmin.
Is that the one that oh yeah, that's huge. I haven't seen you wear that one yet.
The best, the latest, greatest, everything. It has everything you can think of. But
I would not think that you would have anything less than the best and the greatest.
Of course. But it's apparently that's pretty cool though. Just to remind you that, hey, you've been sitting still. Get up, move.
Yeah.
So if I stand up and move, that's what's up. All right. So.
Okay, we like crotch shots.
I have a flashback of I was running a mastermind like 2-3 years ago, and I was teaching them about like when you're too airy-fairy. So when we get too up etherical in our head and lost up in the ethers up here, then I stood up and I was like, when you're doing that, then stand up and you just need to do sumo moves and like get grounded like this. And whatever I was doing, it ended up shooting right on my crotch, and I didn't explain it well, and so I was talking to some woman that was kind of uptight about sexual shit. She's like trying to figure out why the hell is he putting his crotch in the camera and moving like that. I didn't even realize what was happening till it was over.
I love that. That just scares away. Just being yourself just scares away the people who you don't really want to work with, anyways.
Exactly. We had a good laugh. All right. So, okay, Marcia, more money. So, Marcia, the things you've been dealing with have been clarifying who is your ideal client, your niche. You and I had a very powerful call and gained massive clarity, and then I prescribed that you, many of you do that call with Suzanne, and you did that, and it sounds like you felt deeply moved. I haven't actually read through that post yet. I plan to. There's a lot of posts, and I just want to say this to all of you. I've been kind of dragging ass a little bit on getting to your posts in the forums lately, the last couple of weeks, and this week's probably going to be about the same, and then next week I should be back on course where I'm more interactive. But Marcia, I do plan to read that. I'm actually very excited to see the results of anybody and everybody who gets the reading with her because I find it incredibly useful. So, Marcia, are you clear on your niche? So would you say next issue is getting more clarity and really honing in now on your message and your niche, or are you already there and it's time to just sell it? Okay, so you're clear on who you're selling to, what you're selling, what major problem you're solving, and it is a problem that people are willing to pay to have solved. Is that correct? Great. So now it's a matter of the two main things you get to focus on is how do I generate the amount of sales conversations I get to have. So reverse engineering the financial game plan that you want will be a key step, and then also just getting your message out constantly, and refining it and seeing what they respond to and refining your abilities as a copywriter. So did you end up finding that video? You were asking for the video where I talked about copywriting. Did you find that?
Yes.
Great. And did you take good notes on the different layouts for that?
Yes, I did.
Great.
Yeah.
So keep practicing your copywriting, and so in the back of your mind be thinking, the next thing for me to invest in is my ability to do copywriting and to do sales. So those are your main focuses of breakthrough right now. Don't worry too much about anything else other than those things. Life is going to give you transformation. The process of life is transformation. Life is a spiritual experience. Everything that's happening is spiritual. The burdens you're facing is a spiritual experience. The pain you're dealing with is a spiritual experience. Making money is a spiritual experience. So there's nothing to heal. There's nothing to go back and clean up. There's nothing to focus on besides where am I going, what do I want next, and then opening yourself to allow that journey to transform you. So you will get all the transformation that you want just in the process of putting your word out there through copywriting and marketing posts and having powerful sales conversations. And both those two will trigger everything that wants to be triggered, that wants to be healed and loved within you. There's no need to dig. There's no need to search. There's no need to strive. Just move forward. So what you focus on expands. So if I'm focusing on how much abundance I have and how much I'm creating more abundance, then I'll have more abundance. If I focus on how many issues I have and how much I need to clean those up, then I'll get more of those. For those of you who haven't heard, probably you've all heard, but I just want to remind all of you, make your self-appreciation project bigger than your self-improvement project. And go ahead and make a commitment to that now. If you haven't already committed that, commit to that now. I commit to making my self-appreciation project bigger than my self-improvement project.
Hey, Chris.
And then know that you don't even have to try. If you're aware and you're conscious, and if you've been hanging out here for months, it's too late. You're like Neo who already took the red pill. Like, it's too late. There's no backing out now. So consciousness is going to happen. Your evolution is going to happen. It's happening. Your transformation is happening. Your self-actualization is happening. Everything that you want to accomplish is already in process. You've taken the pill. You're on the journey. Now just enjoy the journey and focus on the next milepost. So the next milepost for you, Marcia, is making money, doing what you love, making a difference. And you've already taken many steps to package and price and niche and message and all these things and set a foundation and clear a bunch of shit up and love yourself and let go of a bunch of old stories. So you've done some great work and set a great foundation, and yeah, there'll be more work to do along the way. But it can be just play. It can be part of the moving forward process. And I'm talking to all of you. So just those two things, that's it. That's all that really wants to be on your radar. Like if other things come up and you're inspired to do a few things along the way, great, do it.
Hey,
But
Chris.
it's just that simple. So let's reverse engineer for a minute. How many dollars per month do you want to be making within the next few months? You're muted.
Let's say $5,000 to start a month.
$5,000 a month, okay?
Yeah.
And what's the average price of your offering?
$1,500 a head for my 6-week online group coaching program.
Okay. So $1,500 a head. So if you did 4 of those per month, you're making $6,000 a month.
Right, one group with 4 people.
Great. So if you launched 1 group per month, you would exceed your goal.
Right.
Great. So, and all you need is 4 people per group?
Yes.
Great. So all you need is 1 person per week. You don't need, but to meet those numbers, all that's required to meet those numbers is 1 person per week. So if you had one sales conversation per day, and 1 out of 5 of those enrolled, you're at $6,000 a month. Those are incredibly simple numbers. So have you listened to Outwitting the Devil?
I've read it.
Okay. Remember where he talks about definiteness of purpose?
Yes.
Your definiteness of purpose for this month is, I have a sales call a day, an enrollment per week, and launch a group per month.
Okay.
Period. Nothing else. It's that simple. And every question, when you're on this call, that's all you're here for. It's to assist you to follow through on that. No distractions, no squirrels, no bullshit, no shiny objects, no figuring out the cosmos. Just fucking have a sales conversation a day, 1 enrollment a week. So minimum 1 sales conversation a day, minimum 1 enrollment per week, minimum 1 group launch per month, period.
Okay.
And I'm not like talking rude or disrespectful to you. I'm talking passionately about how simple it can be for you.
Right. Got that.
Awesome. And when I say definiteness of purpose, meaning everything gets to be of service to that. So when you're on this Wednesday call, you're on here to fuel that. You're asking questions that assist that in happening. That in 4 weeks from now, you're launching your first group. Period. And that over the course of the next 4 weeks, each week you're enrolling a person that we know next Wednesday, if you haven't enrolled a person, something's off course. You haven't hit the milepost. And so every day, your check-in, everything you do, your check-ins daily in the group forum is only in support of this. Your Monday accountability call is only in support of this. Yep, I did my core 5. I have my sales conversations. I have my enrollment. Perfect. I'm on track. If you didn't, you're only talking about I didn't, and this is what stopped me. Help me break through. Help me see and shift my paradigm so that I align with this and allow it to be. No stories, no waiting, no games, no distractions, just simple. How do you feel?
I can do this.
Yeah.
I may have questions later on about the sales conversation, but I'm just going to get into, I wonder, I'm curious, how can this come to be?
Perfect. So 3x3 marketing every day. Turn into messenger conversations and phone conversations. And those are the numbers. One sales conversation a day, minimum one sales conversation a day, period. Don't miss it. And I'm not saying 7 days a week either. 5 days a week. One sales conversation a day, 5 days a week, minimum. Minimum one enrollment per week. Minimum 4 enrollments per month. Minimum 1 group launch per month. Now, if you sign someone up for a group, and they're the first person, so if you sign someone up this week and that group's not launching till next month, no problem. Sign them up and then give them one-on-one sessions between now and then to keep them moving forward and say, we're going to launch in about a month. In the meantime, we'll have a weekly session to get you on course, get you all prepped, to get clear on where you're going. You're going to get additional value because you've signed up early. Cool?
Cool.
Sweet. Okay. Marci, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I didn't know if you could hear me. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, so just a suggestion on that was, we've talked to you a couple times about, Chris, the game that you started to play with every single hour having the chime on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
And what I added to this, and actually after Megan and I had a conversation, was adding to it, like, so on all my alarms I have a different note that is like, you know, something to remind me of what am I creating, and then self-appreciation. So I was just going to mention to you guys, like, having some sort of note of self-appreciation for yourself, that it is an hourly, almost like you're retraining not only your energy. What I love about this is when the alarm goes off, if you know, it can be a note that comes up on your alarm that's like, what am I creating? And if I showed you, let me look at the ones that I have on mine. So like I have from first thing in the morning, hello, beautiful day of awesomeness. Hang on one second, let me see what it says. Hello, beautiful day of awesomeness. Thank you, God. Like, what am I creating, or what am I intending for the day? And so, but with each one, I have, you know, I love you, divine warrior goddess. What are you feeling right now? And like, what are you doing great? And so something that assists me go, what's the energy I'm creating, and how am I appreciating myself? And what I love that I've seen as I've done this, and as, you know, clients have done this, and is that you're catching the energy before situations show up. So before you catch yourself in a drift, all of a sudden the alarm goes off and you're like, whoa, I was having a worry or a thought or an energy. So that takes me to a vibration that is going to manifest something shitty. So if I instantly am aware of that, and I'm retraining myself to be in tune with the energy that's vibrating something different, and in at that same moment, appreciate yourself. What am I doing right? And so I know Chris is actually the one who started doing this. Megan, his wife, told me about it, how they started adding, and what am I doing right now? Even though there technically is no right or wrong, because everything is just, it's perfect for you in the moment. But so that's just a suggestion, you guys, of how you make that self-appreciation project greater than your self-improvement project. Because how can you self-appreciate yourself every single hour? So you start to train your mind to always look for what's awesome about you and what you love about yourself and what's great. So that was my only thing on that. I think your other suggestions to Marcia were perfect and on track. And this kind of brings up what Morris was asking, breaking free of old habits, having a challenge, taking on new things and staying with it. So see how Chris just took Marcia from a big picture to, let's look at what's right in front of me every single day. This is my focus. So it's a step by step by step. Remember, if we go, last week I think and what Jonathan was saying, where last week we talked about definiteness of purpose. I'm going there. It does not matter what the fuck comes up. I am going there. So obstacles are only what you see when you take your eyes off the goal, right? So we start to go, oh, I'm 99% going there. 1% of me wants to have a backup plan. Well, then you're looking the other direction, your effort, your energy, that's shit. Where you're going is there. But if we keep our head up and trying to look at that big goal, we're scared as fuck of all the things that we see, and we're not sure how it's going to make it. Instead, what Chris just did is when we reverse engineer and you go, okay, this is what it looks like. So if I know what this looks like, what's the step right in front of me? So Morris, if it keeps showing up where you're like, I'm having an issue breaking old habits, how do we break it down? So you guys are learning to, some of you, the issue really there, Morris, is trusting yourself. And I know we brought this up before, is like getting committed. Last week in your words, it was like realizing, well, I don't really take action because you really haven't even decided what you're in or not in on. Like, what do you really want? So you get committed to where you're going, and then you break it down and reverse engineer it like Chris did to say, okay, this is my focus. So right now in this moment in front of me, every day, this is one thing at a time. So I'm doing my one sales call. When does that look like? I'm posting my 3x3, and it's like 1 inch ahead of you at a time. Inch by inch, life is a cinch. Yard by yard, it's hard. So for Morris, and this kind of goes again with what Marcia was bringing up, is that I'd love you to look at, so what's my one new habit that I'm focused on? Instead of like, I can't break all these old habits, it's what am I replacing it with? What's the new habit I'm replacing it with? And how am I adding that into my life? Now, how do I set up support around creating that? Whether it be an accountability partner or it's part of the group that I'm telling them, this is my intention this week, this is how I'm setting up in my life, I have it on my alarm, I have, friend support, I have, set up myself for success with, my clothes in the bathroom ready for workout in the morning, or whatever the intention is. See, there's my awesome one, my alarm going off. What is the one habit you're going to focus on right now, Morris? And just add that one thing into your life and set yourself up for support around that one thing so it doesn't become too big. So as a perfectionist identity, you start to look at the big picture, and that scares the fuck out of you, and bring it back down to just what's the next thing in front of me. Okay, awesome. And when you feel resistance right there, what do we go through? The 5 steps and get clear on why there's resistance. Is it perception? Is it that you get to ask for assistance? Is it that you get to let go of standards, or that your thought processes about how it's supposed to look? Like, what is the resistance, and how do I break it down so I can move forward in that one step? I don't know if you have anything else you want to add to that, Chris.
No, that's awesome. Thank you. Next topic was, Amanda said, do we have a doc on how to test results on marketing and product demand before writing a book, for example, testing market on interest? So, Amanda, we don't have a doc on that, but this is a key point to remember. So oftentimes people will spend a ton of time and energy and money building a logo and a message and a brand and a niche and all this shit, and then they're like, literally, sometimes you waste a year trying to figure out, who am I? What's my purpose? What's my message? Who's my niche? What's my market? What logo should I do? And a year later, you've spent every waking moment dealing with this, and you launch it to the market, and no one buys. It's like crickets. You're like, yay, we're launching! All you hear is a cricket in the background. So, and you've wasted like all this time and energy. So this is the value of the 3x3 process, or 3x4 process on Facebook, is when you're posting every day content and you're honing in and testing to see, what do people respond to? There's many times, even still, I will post what I think is an epic post and 5 people like it. And there's other times I'll post what I think is like, yeah, probably no one will like this, and 100 people like it and 20 shares. So it's challenging and interesting, even understanding people as well as I do. It's interesting to see what people actually give a shit about. So one of the guys that I've coached, so I've never gone viral. Like, I don't know how to coach you how to go viral. But one of the guys that I was coaching went viral. He made a post that looked to me like anything I would post or anything other people I was coaching would post. Just looked like a typical post to me. I wouldn't have thought anything special. In fact, I breezed through it and just kind of ignored it. I like skim read it and like, okay, cool, and went on. Well, for whatever reason, the marketplace responded, and that dang post got millions upon millions upon millions of views, and now the dude, like, people, without him even trying, he's not the smartest. There's people on this call that I judge to be more deep consciously, more capable from a skill set perspective, more present than him, but him without even trying, because he targeted him, set a message in a certain way that a mass amount of people, it shared like hundreds of thousands of times, just boom, 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 boom. He went viral. And now he posts a post that looks average to me. And he has thousands of likes and hundreds of thousands of views and 100,000 shares. It's amazing. So the point being is, don't even waste your time on, so like the logo will come later. The exact niche and brand, like I would want to spend some time on that just so that you know what you're offering, but don't attach your identity to that. Bring it to the marketplace, see how they respond, and if they don't respond perfectly like the way you want them to, you don't go viral. Don't be like, oh no, this doesn't work. Like, and don't think that you're fundamentally flawed or that you're not smart enough or you need 18 million more certifications. Just keep posting and slightly altering until you find a following and a response in the marketplace that it's obvious that they love what you're doing and what you're saying. Now, at first you can be all over the place. It's like post this and post that and post this and post that. And the main thing is really be yourself. Be yourself, because who you are will attract who you want to be with. If you try to be someone else, you're going to attract someone you don't want to be with. So be yourself, but also be alert and aware as to which aspects and how do you present those aspects of yourself that people respond to the best. Then Amanda asked, what do you mean by self-appreciation? So in relationships, appreciation is one of the #1 shift moves. It's one of the #1 skills to enhance the value of the relationship. So if a house appreciates, it raises in value. If I appreciate you, if I always am telling you, you could have done better, you could have done better, you could have done better. We've all seen movies of this where dads push their sons or daughters or children so far constantly, you're never good enough, you're never good enough, you're never good enough, versus a dad or a mom who's always telling their child how they're you know, I appreciate this about you and I love this about you and this. So the second child grows up feeling whole and complete. I was actually listening to a video the other day, and it was really interesting the way he put it. I already knew this, but he put it in a new way that was inspiring for me. He said, our tendency is that when our child does something we don't want them to do, to punish them. And then when they do something we do want them to do, to reward them. And we tend to think that somehow withdrawing our love or, you know, talking rough with them or doing something in some form to really discipline or get them to perform will get them to do better. And it's actually the opposite, because when we do that, they feel like they're not good enough. They start to anchor in that they're fundamentally flawed, and then they, because they're vibrating on a lower frequency, they do lower frequency choices. They make lower frequency choices. But when we instead give them love and reflect, give them compliments, give them appreciations, so however ridiculous, and so like when my child, instead of when she's freaking out, like being like, get up, stop that, I'll swat you, or I'll, you know, punish you if you do that in one form or another. Instead, honey,
sounds just like you, Chris.
What's that?
I said that sounds just like you, Chris.
Exactly. So instead, like finding what is it that she's wanting to be appreciated and acknowledged and seen and honored and valued for in that moment. What could I compliment her about? What could I appreciate about her? So first step would be to get her to feel more. So I gave an example of this on a different training the other day, where literally, like last week, my daughter was freaking out, and I tried to listen, and she wasn't playing that, and I tried to this different things, and it wasn't working. So then I actually had her freak out more. I'm like, oh, well, all right, how about freak out worse? Yell louder. Kick your feet. Use your arms too. Come on, harder, louder. And 10 seconds later, she was good to go. And then after she had moved that energy, I asked her, what are you feeling? What are you wanting? Are you feeling this? Or yeah, okay, boom. Quick, easy conversation, and issues shifted, and with no undermining, no deep ingraining of, fundamentally flawedness or all the other bullshit that we tend to instill in our kids and ourselves. So why am I sharing all this? Because you asked about what is this self-appreciation thing. The same applies to us. The same way I would relate to my 3-year-old. If I'm not relating to my inner child that way, we got problems. Because you have an inner adult and an inner child, and if that inner child is burned out and pissed off at you, you're screwed. Everything you try to do, that inner child will sabotage. Picture it as you and that 3-year-old climbing the mountain, and the 3-year-old's pissed off and doesn't want to go any further. And if you're just using discipline and guilt trips and shame and manipulation and punishment and control to get that child to go up, the journey's just going to get harder and harder and harder, and the abuse is going to get worse, and pretty soon you're just going to be a deadlock. And in the meantime, you're destroying that inner part, which is a massive part of who you are, the most part of who you are. It's the essence of who you are. So a key to this is to fire the whole board. There's a visualization where you can visualize calling a board meeting with this whole crew of old crusty dudes that have been on your business team, your team, and their job has been finding out what's wrong with you and trying to give you feedback about what's wrong with you so you could fix it. And you go into the boardroom and you visualize firing all of them in a friendly way. You're like, thank you for your service. Here's some big checks. You're all retiring early. Thank you for your service. And then you let them out the other door, and then you open the door and you bring in a bunch of young, fresh bucks, and you're like, welcome, guys. Welcome to the awesome organization of me. And your job is to go out and discover everything that's right with me. Everything that's amazing with me. Everything that's beautiful about me. And to prove and show to me constantly what's right with me. And so what happens here is, as I love that child, their frequency raises, and because their frequency is higher, they automatically do higher level things. The issue or concern that I had goes away, not because I punished or controlled, but because I loved and the frequency raised. Same is true of inmates and prisoners, spouses, self. If you want an easeful, productive life, choose self-appreciation, self-love, and focusing on what's right with you and others, and being committed to continuously expressing what you appreciate about yourself and what you appreciate about others. Marci?
So one thought on this, I just was going to give evidence along with what Chris is saying about feelings. This reminded me when you were talking about with Bryn, is just my little boys came back from Utah, and they get fed a lot of perceptions, and their emotions are just way off crazy. And in the past, not really understanding this, it would have been, again, like, oh, how can I fix it? How can I fix it? How can I fix it? And yesterday, Gavin just said something surface, and as soon as I held him, he just started to cry, and we just sat in his bed, and he just cried and cried and cried and got everything out. And once he got everything out, he was good. So it's so powerful to realize, even like the thing I want to touch base on with this is, in the last probably year, I really started to dig into and implemented some of the stuff with Goddess this last time, which was super powerful, of allowing yourself even to be heard. Because not only have you been suppressed on being heard fully as a child, from just even you have an emotion, it's like, what's wrong? Emotions are labeled as what's wrong, or it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And like Chris is telling you, the more, once you get all the feeling and emotion out, but even when you, we suppress even our sounds and the noises that we want to make. And if you're feeling aggravated or frustrated, and like giving yourself the space to fully like express and be heard and allow yourself to be heard and allow yourself to feel, you can see how important it is with a child, to where this training starts at a young age. But how many of you guys even like feel a negative emotion? And this is why I say, yeah, you can go into, we go into the 5 steps, but the first step is becoming aware and feeling what you're feeling, and totally allowing yourself to be heard and to be felt, and be like, wow, this is what I'm feeling, that's totally okay. So, well, now eventually it's like, well, what do I want to do with this? But if you just bypass it and you go right into like, I'm just going to, okay, I just got to pull my shit together and move forward, you keep attracting the same shit over and over, because you actually never heal it. You actually have never let yourself be felt or be heard. So I think this is important to apply also to yourself, is how do you allow yourself to fully be heard and fully be held and be felt, and then move forward into what you're creating with it.
Awesome. Thank you, Marci. So next question I got here, Amanda says, how and when do we talk about how to build and what structure we follow for business? So Amanda, besides the other marketing video that Jonathan invited you to look up in members area, there's another video on, guys, Jonathan, maybe you can help me remember the name of it. Kyle did it on, and he helped Marcia, I think, and a few others to package their stuff through that.
The business blueprint.
Yeah, the business blueprint.
So find the video on that as well, Amanda, and that will be helpful. If you do those 2 videos, those are definitely your next steps. Let's see. Scrolling through messages here to see what else people are asking for.
So Chris, I have some feedback on messaging.
Okay.
So talking about, I think Brandon was the one who said how you end up, and Brandon, maybe you can clarify, but you're saying that you're getting a lot of people who don't have the money, and yet you are trying to connect with people who are qualified leads, right?
That was Matt Ritchie's question.
Oh, okay, Matt's.
Definitely interested in hearing more about that.
Okay, so the feedback I'd have on this, or the contribution I'd give you guys, is if you think about what is the perfect ideal client that you've worked with, what is that perfect ideal client's challenges, and what are they going through, and how do you craft your message to directly talk to them? So when I first probably was where you're at, Matt, we're first starting my programs, and I wanted to assist the masses and everybody. And there's ways that you can obviously begin to create a different funnel of ways to do that. So like with Chris and I, we have everything from, high-end clients that pay us 150 grand a year to, masterminds, to at-home programs that's more for the masses, to products, etc. So it's like there's a flow-down system. There's the funnel of people. It's like my intention is to assist someone wherever they're at, instead of just be like, oh, sorry, I don't have an option for you, you're not in this space. But what I recognize is I shifted from the place of where I attracted a lot of people when I was first working with people at a lower value exchange, then my messaging stayed on almost like attracting the victims. It was attracting the people who were in total shit, and their life was total shit, and their mindset was total shit, and all these things. And yet I wanted to shift my game to working with the badasses, working with the people who were totally ready to kick ass. They wanted to kick ass. They already knew they wanted an epic life. They wanted to do more, be more. They believed, like, they didn't know how to, but they wanted to move to fucking fantastical just instead of good or great. And here my messaging was still talking to people who were in shit. So the difference was, instead of me keep talking, like using the messaging around the victim who doesn't even know how to, they're not experiencing good or great, was to shift my messaging to, are you, like if it was for working with, as I build Goddess, are you a high-end female badass who is still settling in your relationships, or that your body's 20 pounds off? Are you living in like life's pretty good or great, you're kicking ass in business and you're validated, but you never seem to have the relationships? Are you sick and tired of not having it all? Or, you know, like, so my messaging got to shift to, what is that person focused, what is that person's challenge? So if I want to work with high-end male and female, like Chris and I are working with badasses, that's why we created Badass, is through the high-end people we worked with, we saw that they were thriving at 80% versus 100%. We want to teach them to live like we do, 100%. Everything's awesome. So how do I craft my messaging for that person who is in that place? How do I craft my messaging to talk to that high-end entrepreneur that is getting on stage, but they're not as confident because they've got 20 pounds to shed, or, you know, they're still not, there's still a gap in their inner game to have it all. Instead of saying, oh, did you eat, you know, like, instead of crafting the message to be for someone who just doesn't even know how to get out of shit, they're not really going to appeal to that message. So that was my feedback for you guys on that, is look at who is your ultimate client that you've worked with, that you want to work with. What is their problem? And instead of continuing to do your messaging that's like just the stuff that comes through you for, you know, because Matt, you're dealing with mindset shifts. So you do have this group of people that are maybe going to do your 30-day challenge that are lower in. So you're going to get those too, but maybe start to add more of your messaging into specifically focused on the person who is the client that you want, the ideal, the higher end that isn't in that space. You have anything on that, Chris, you want to share?
No. Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Marcia asked, will 3x3 always lead to a sales conversation? So the 3x3 may or may not in the first 3, but at some point in the game, so if all you did was get up and say, my focus and purpose today is to get into a sales conversation. Now, ideally, you will begin to be booked out 1, 2, 3 weeks in advance as you move forward, because as you're communicating and collaborating with people, you'll set aside sales conversation time, ideally each morning. Maybe you set aside 2 slots per day, or maybe just 1 slot per day. But 1 would be your minimum, and so if you had 2 and you filled 1, then great. And if you didn't fill the other one, then you could fill it with, use that time to market more and fill more future slots. And so if you're doing 3x3 and I'm reaching out, so if I'm messaging, then some people are going to respond. Some people will ignore me. Some people will respond, it'll turn into nothing. And some people will respond, it'll turn into an epic conversation. And then if I guide that conversation correctly and they're a proper fit, it turns into a sales conversation. So if your purpose is to get into a sales conversation every day, and you've done 3 of those, you've messaged 3 new people, and nothing came of it, do 3 more. And then 3 more, and make it, instead of a 3x3 process, make it a 10x10 if needs be. So that you're just, you know, don't just, okay, got my 3x3 done, point on my core 5. All right, see you next week. Like, no one gives a shit if you get your core 5. What really matters, I mean, we do, because we want you to be empowered. But at the end of the day, what I really want is for you to have the results you want. And the results you want is to make plenty of money doing what you love and know that you are free to live and be and do exactly as you choose while being aligned with your passion and your purpose. So do 3x3 until you get the, you know, do whatever you're going to do. I mean, it could be from make a list of people you know that would benefit from your services and text them, email them, Facebook message them, tweet them, whatever the hell you got to do. You're just finding people that benefit from your service and getting into a 5 gates conversation and then making an offer. It's marketing is, yeah, there's strategies about do it here on Facebook, do it here, do it there, but at the end of the day, it's just who would benefit from my service and what do I get to do to get in front of them to have an empowered conversation to show them how I can help them move forward and receive my gift. So just get creative every day. Don't wait and think, well, I don't know how. Bullshit, you know how. If you get curious, like who would benefit and how can I get in contact with them? And then what's the next question I can ask them to help them have the most powerful experience and move them emotionally and help them see the benefit of what I'm doing. So it doesn't matter how you go to that. You literally, you could know nothing about marketing and sales and just know what I just said and ask wonder questions, and wonder questions would guide you the whole way. Yes? Awesome. Marci, anything?
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay, so let's see.
Chris, maybe I'm seeing a couple people just asking more about zone of genius. I know that comes up quite a bit. Is there any reflection you'd give them on really getting clear on what their zone of genius is? And it's interesting because even with me here in Utah, so I'm here because I'm speaking in front of like 900 people this weekend and doing TV, and everyone that's found out I'm here is like, oh, what can I help you with? What can I assist? And I'm like Morris even sent me a text or a message, you know, and I said, there's nothing for, I'm like, I live in my zone of genius, so there's nothing for me to do but show up and let God work through me and kick ass, because I wouldn't take on doing anything but that, because that's my zone of genius. That's what I'm meant to do and be here to do. So just any other feedback for them on really getting clear up with that.
So zone of genius, if let me pull up the spiral real quick. Okay, let me know if you see my genius spiral, genius catalyst. Anybody?
Yeah, I see it. Got it.
Okay, so just kind of look at that as I speak, but bottom line is, if I feel amazing, if I'm in ease and flow, and it's edifying me, and it doesn't feel like work, it feels like play, I wouldn't get sick of it, it energizes me, then it's my zone of genius. And the thing is, the zone of genius isn't just one thing, it's anything and everything that energizes and revitalizes you. And so if you just pay attention to, throughout each time you choose to do something, what happens? Does it fuel your aliveness or does it rob your aliveness? Is it creating energy and vitality and joy and vibrance? Or the opposite? So if it's creating a contracted state, it's not your zone of genius. And if it's not your zone of genius, there's nothing, so you can try to shift, and through like a miserable job that you hate, or you can just have it be self-motivated easily by being in your zone of genius. So when it's your zone of genius, you can hardly stop doing it. You wake up and you just want to go do it. When it's something that's like, oh man, another day, I need a vacation, you're not in your zone of genius. And so if you're having to spend tons and tons of energy to shift and re-motivate yourself, you know, even Morris, one of your questions was, I start shit, but I don't follow through. It might be that you're starting a lot. I mean, part of that's probably just some stuff with slowly working up and mastering the art of doing what the hell you say you'll do and following through. And then the other part is, if you're choosing things that fueled themselves and drove you rather than you driving them, it's like employees. If I have employees who absolutely love what they do, they motivate themselves. Like, instead of me always having to drive and motivate them, if I structure my business in such a way that they stand to win every time they produce what I want them to produce, like just as much that their success is truly my success, and they're doing exactly what they love, then my company will thrive way better than the average company. Average company is, let me hire people for the least amount possible and then slave drive them and motivate them and pep talk them to get them to give me the most possible for the least possible. And they're on the other side saying, I want to give the least possible and get the most possible. So they're looking for raises and I'm looking for more productivity. But if we both show up, it's similar to the wedding vows, rather than that, like, how do we create an agreement where when I win, the more you win, the more I win, the more I win, the more you win? And so if I structure my pay instead of from scarcity and lack and like, how can I make it as cheap as possible so then I get half-assed people in my organization? Instead, I say, and then instead of just paying by the hour, because paying by the hour is just the longer they take, the more money they make. Well, that doesn't align with what I want. I want them to do more in less time. So if you paid someone by the piece, like, okay, so a lawnmower, if I said it's $10 an hour, their interest is in getting more hours. If I say it's $10 per lawn, their interest is getting as many lawns as possible done in the same amount of time. So they might do one lawn in an hour if it's $10 an hour. They might do frickin' 5 lawns in an hour if it's $10 per lawn. Now, for me, I made way more profit because instead of me being a tight ass and just getting 1 lawn done an hour, I got 5 lawns done an hour. And then for them, same thing. Instead of making $10, they made $50 an hour, and now they're thinking every moment of the day, not, man, this job sucks. I'm selling my life away for this, and I'll just, man, I can't wait till this is done. Instead, they're constantly thinking, how can I get more lawns done? How can I get this done quicker and easier? How can I be more efficient? So now I'm not having to motivate them at all. I'm not saying, hey, you need to be more efficient. Hey, this is what you need to do to be more efficient. I need you to work harder. Work harder. You're going to lose your job. Work harder. I'll give you a bonus. Come on, do this. Efficiency. Come on, come on, come on. Slave driving and motivating and pep talking and all the bullshit. Just alleviate all of that by hiring producers in their zone of genius, doing what they love, and create a pay structure that enables them to be self-motivated. And then that's such a great opportunity that no one else offers. If they're not the best, fire them and get someone else. Now, I know we were talking about you in Zone of Genius, but I'm showing you also how it applies to employees in your organization, and then apply that back to yourself. Jay Looney, this applies to you. You're still doing a lot of shit that's not in your zone of genius. And I know it can be a challenge to shift over, and every moment that you're spending in a zone of excellence or competence or incompetence is a moment that you're not fully happy, fully spacious, and it's a moment you're saying yes to chopping vegetables all effing day, when the truth is what you most likely want to be doing, which would be more genius, would be networking with the people of the event that matter, that will get you more business, collaborating with your people, getting your hands in the food just enough to have it taste amazing and be your special touch, and to know that you were, like, you felt it, you were one with the process. But slaving, working your ass off, stressing, cutting vegetables all fucking day, like, yes, you love prepping food, but not all of that is zone of genius. It's not creating spaciousness and ease and flow and prosperity. It's every time you're doing that, you're saying no to everything else in the universe. You're saying no to making love. You're saying no to going home and spending time with your wife and children. You're saying no to networking with the high-level people at the event that would give you 10 times more work. You're saying no to implementing your referral system that would double your income over a short period of time, over and over and over again. So I know it's very addictive to be the man. And the problem with excellence, Morris, Jay, most of you, many of you, the excellence is, yeah, but when I'm prepping and I'm busting ass and I'm pulling off the gig and it's perfect and I can't depend on anyone else to do it perfect like I do, and I get all these kudos and it's a success and it's awesome. Believe me, I know. I was excellent at construction. I was one of the best. I was highly self-motivated to master my craft. And I know you've mastered your craft. I know, Morris, you know how to kick ass at mortgages. I know, Jay, you know how to kick ass at throwing on a gig, a food prep gig. And if you're willing to give up the fucking kudos that you get for that, and let go of the addiction of, needing to be approved of and pat on the back and everyone saying how fucking smart and amazing and skilled you are. And you'll step into your zone of genius where it's spacious and flowing and easeful. There is so much more money and time and space and presence and joy and connectivity available to you. Anything else you want to add, Marci?
I'm tuning into it. I think just along with that is people are always like, well, how do I know it's in my zone of genius? Or they're still discovering it. And the clarification is, I want you guys to realize it's normal that you haven't necessarily known who you are. That this process of self-discovery, the process of awareness and is giving yourself permission to discover who you are, because most of us grew up with this perfectionist identity tendencies where we shut down who we really are, trying to show up to be who we think we have to be, and so we've forgotten who we really are. So it's exciting and curious to discover what does light me up, what does allow me to be on fire, and you're going through the shift of there's things that you get to do along the way as you create that space. When you get to go, you drop your perceptions about oh, why the fuck would I clean my house when I could allow someone else to do that, and I can create and produce way more in that time period and do what I love. And you drop those stories around it and you discover, what is it that I love? So 2 things to just realize, it's what do you feel good doing? When you feel good, you're in alignment and you're on fire. Those things are your zone of genius. Not just when you're doing something that you're excellent at, but it doesn't, you're not on fire about it. And give yourself permission, instead of being well, I don't know. It's ooh, awesome. Well, what else do I get to try? What else do I get to try? And honing in on it and getting excited to what you get to experiment with to discover again who you are and what really lights you up. Because I find it to be so many people are well, I don't know, because you just haven't allowed yourself to discover it from your past. And so make it an intention, even if it's every week, of what else do I get to try? What's new that I get to try? Or what else do in my business, what does light me up and to be passion and purpose? It doesn't have to look like what someone else's path is or what they do. As you test and discover, what are the aspects that I really feel on fire about? I can go from being, could be completely drained from something, and then start doing what I do with my peeps, and I'm on fire. So that's it's not draining me, it's lighting me up. And those are just a couple things to realize, that it's just this process of discovery for you, and to give yourself permission and be excited about discovering it.
I found another sheet. Do you guys see this sheet here?
Yeah.
So time wasters, this is creating a high ratio of abundance to time/energy spent. So in our zone of genius, we make the most amount of money in the least amount of time with the greatest amount of ease and joy. So if you took and listed, what things am I doing that are time wasters? It's a low ratio, I spend a lot of time and I make nothing on it, or very little. Energy wasters, low ratio. What do I put a lot of time and energy into that reaps very little, and I end up feeling drained? Anything that you feel drained from doing is not zone of genius. So time enhancers, high ratio. How do I generate more time? So if I'm in my zone of not my zone of genius, then I'm always busy as hell and don't have enough time or money. If I'm in my zone of genius, I have plenty of time and plenty of money, because I make the max, so dollars follow value. Well, there's no greater place that I can provide more value than in my zone of genius. Ever. There never will be. So the highest amount of ratio of least amount of time and energy, greatest amount of joy and vitality, and greatest amount of income is your zone of genius. So, finding where, just documenting, make it a science project. Monitor what you do throughout the day and find When do you feel alive, completely like ecstatic? What were you doing? That qualifies. When did you feel drained and unhappy and go into a drift? That qualifies as a non-genius activity. And then there's the 3Ds, which is delete, delegate, and develop. So you want to delete anything and everything that doesn't need to be done, that you've been doing, that isn't in your zone of genius. Then you want to delegate anything that does get to be done, but doesn't fall in your zone of genius. You find someone else to do that. And then anything that you absolutely love to do, you develop and improve upon that. So on a sales floor, I utilized this to become, I outproduced, there was 20 other people, like 20-something people on the team. I would outproduce all of them put together every week by simply applying this model. I thought, you know, there's a bunch of the shit that I'm doing every day in the system that they've got running here that I don't enjoy. Let's solve this. So I went to the boss and I said, can I hire an assistant? I'll pay her myself. Sure. Will you give her a desk and a spot? Sure. So I delegated everything that I didn't love to do to her. And I ended up spending all day, every moment, doing the stuff that made me the most money and that I most enjoyed, and had her do everything else. She was happy to have a job, making a percentage. I paid her on a percentage based on what she was doing, so she was highly motivated to get shit done. And she was doing what she was genius at, and I was doing what I was genius at, and I was highly motivated. And I ended up outperforming. Like, the things I accomplished at that company are just insane. Literally, how do you outperform? There's 20 other people with families, and one dude is outperforming all of them put together week in and week out. That's the power of genius. So this last one, energy enhancers, how do I energize myself? So just pay attention. What are the things that you do that create more energy and vitality in you? Those are clear indicators of your zone of genius. Okay, let's see. Okay, how do we know what they are thinking if we have not been there? For instance, do we reach out to potentials and ask them for free and say, can you help me type message and promise no pitch and just helping to see if it appeals? No. You post content every day and see what people like and comment on, and then you get into conversations with them, and if they buy, then your product and service works. And then if you deliver and fulfill, it works. And if none of that happens and it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. So instead of sitting around waiting for it to be perfect, you just deliver. You just ship. You just test. And then adjust as you go. Okay, so bottom of those messages. Now let me click over here. Marci, you got anything on your mind?
Nope, that's great.
Okay. Okay, so Jonathan, hold off on the comments just for a second, guys, on the main board here, because I scroll up and find what I'm clicking on, and then you type something, and then it moves the scroll clear back down, and then I start over. Okay, so Ramini, self-love, letting go of sadness, ability to take action in the midst of emotional stress. So Ramini, apply what I applied with my daughter. Rather than trying to get yourself to feel less, feel more, feel it fully. Go fully into it. Breathe, and don't sit and feed it negative shit and reperpetrate all the victim stories, because then you just go in a negative downward spiral and you just keep on going. But clear the mind, notice the feelings, be fully present with them, allow them to move through and burn up, and notice the thought that's generating the feelings. Question whether the thought is true, because if you're recirculating the same old thoughts over and over, like I'm too fat and can't trust men, and no matter what, it never works out, and I'm never going to be anybody, and men always break my heart, and can't, whatever. None of those things I just said are true, but we tend to think those things. And if we don't stop and reframe those things, then the tapes keep fucking running in the background, and every time we think a thought, it pumps out peptides that generate feelings. Those feelings, and then we have a thought about our feeling, and then we have a new feeling in relation to the last thought and feeling, and it keeps spiraling in that same direction. So what we tend to do is, one, either keep buying into the negative thoughts and trying to ignore them, but they keep playing in the background. Two, leave them playing in the background and try to drown them out with a lot of positive shit in the front ground, but now it's even more chaotic because there's this negative shit and this positive shit, and they're in a battle, so it's hard. Or we just like put our head down and plug our ears and charge forward and wonder why it's hard. So if we want to stop all that madness, we identify, oh, what was that thought? Okay, let's do the work of Byron Katie on this and see if this is actually true. Is it true you can't trust men? Is it true that you're too old? Is it true that you're too fat or overweight or not pretty enough? Is it true that, you're this, whatever, all these thoughts that fucking circulate? Question them. Literally, bring them one by one through the work of Byron Katie. Pick a thought, write it down. It says, I'm too fat and old. Is this true? Can you absolutely know this to be true? How do you show up when you believe this to be true? Is it possible that the opposite's true? And the whole process. Take it through the process on that thought all the way through until you feel a shift inside of you. And then move forward. And then another thought will surface. And then bring it through the process. And if anything, one thing you can do is keep two separate journals. One is a journal of all that's right with you. All that's awesome about you. And a separate journal that's all of the bullshit, negative, destructive thoughts that you catch circulating in your head. Not for the purpose of mourning and getting caught in that, but just to identify and take the shit out and go, holy shit, this is circulating. This is a tape that's playing in the background. Wow, I can see that. That's retarded. Do the work on it. Release it so that it quits burdening you and quits playing in the background, dragging you down. So the thing about feelings is the key to healing feelings is to be present with them, not try to get rid of them. So you scan your body, and so several of you have been asking, what app to use for the reminders. I'm using this one called AIDA Reminders. AIDA Reminders or whatever, with a little red, white, and yellow clock. It's working great for me. It's non-intrusive, simple little reminder, friendly tone, and it's quick and easy, and I can set it for the exact times, and I don't have to set 10 alarms. I just click on how often and when I want it, and boom, it's done. Auto. And when you check in, if you checked in and saw and scanned your body as well, so not only what am I creating, awesome, let me scan my body, and wherever there's tension, there's feelings. There's some suppressed feeling. So if your neck's tight, so anger is head, neck, shoulders, jaw. Sadness is eyes, throat, chest. Fear is stomach. Sexual is pelvic area. And joy is everywhere. So there's only 5 core feelings: anger, sadness, fear, sexual, and joy. You can scan your body at any time, and if you have a reminder going, you just as well scan it each time the reminder goes off and say, what's happening in my body? And if there's tension, either you've withheld something, you're out of integrity, or you're not aligned with your zone of genius. There's something gone unexpressed, something's out of alignment. And if you'll stop and be aware, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So if you're not stopping to check in and feel what's happening and see where you're at and be in close relationship with yourself and honor that inner child, honor all of who you are and align to feel amazing every moment of every day, and you're just ignoring all that and charging forward and wondering why it's so hard, why you suffer and why you struggle and always having to buckle down and motivate and slave drive and do all the bullshit, you're committed to hard because you don't have a healthy relationship with yourself. So checking in, like, you know, attention, Mother Teresa says more people are starving for attention than there are people starving for food. If you give yourself lots of attention, be aware of what the hell's happening for you. On all levels, inner child, inner adult. Be appreciative versus scorning and intense and judgmental and harsh. So love and appreciate yourself every moment. Find what's right with you. Scan your body. Know what's going on in your body at all times. If you look at my mastery sheet, let me pull mastery up. Maybe that was the one that was hard to find. Okay, I'm not finding it easy. So mastery. A master knows how they feel. Like a master knows the difference by the sensations they feel. If they start to notice contraction in their body, they notice it immediately and they know something's off and they realign right now. They don't fucking wait for an hour or 2 hours or 6 hours or all day or all week or all month or live out of alignment constantly as a lifestyle. Like, they're aligned and they slowly, they get just a teeny bit off course and they feel contraction and they go, oh, wait, wake up, and they get right back on course, so they're not wasting a ton of energy. The other day I did an open water swim lesson to help me improve on how to swim in open water. One of the things she had us do was close our eyes and swim. To see, she's like, swim straight that way. Well, with our eyes closed and not being able to see where we were going, I am a swimmer, like everyone went totally separate ways. Literally people swimming in circles thinking they're swimming straight. Because our eyes are closed and like one side stroke's a little different or whatever. So I veered massively left like that. And I swear, you know, in my mind I'm like, I'm swimming straight. And then I come up and I'm like, holy shit, I'm way left. So I share that to demonstrate how we operate in life. If you're not coming up to see where the hell you're going and you're just swimming with your eyes closed, next thing you know, you've swum in a complete circle. Or like one of the things she's teaching us is how to, every stroke, I can stroke, and right at the right time when this hand goes in, this hand's out, and this hand goes in, that's the highest I'll be. Just peek my eyes up just barely over the water so that it doesn't switch my form. It's just part of my stroke. I can go whoop and see where I'm at. Now, prior to knowing that, what I was doing in my races was swim, 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 swim. Oh, wrong direction. Swim, 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 swim. Oh, fuck. So if you were to look at my course, I'm going, like, I'm swimming nearly double the length of the course because I'm not aware of where the hell I'm going and what's happening. So same thing with this drift shift thing, and genius and all of this. If you scan your body and you know where you're at and you see the contraction, and that's like checking consistently every couple strokes, you know exactly where you're going, so you're swimming straight instead of boom, boom, boom. I've cut the race distance in half. So same thing for accomplishing what you're accomplishing in your life. Marci, you got anything?
Just loving your analogies.
Awesome. I don't know of a good book on the inner child stuff for Ramini. Let's see.
There's a ton of like, and I'm not sure clarifying exactly what they're looking for. There's so many different processes you can do for inner child. Like, again, I think it's just tuning into a good exercise and process would just be, I mean, something I started to do is ask myself, what does the little girl inside me want to be heard about? And asking those right questions, like, what am I really wanting to hear? What does the little girl want to say? What does the little girl inside me want to feel that has been shut down and hasn't been felt for a long time? With a lot of my peeps that go through my Mind Body Breakthrough, one of my coaches that works for me as a personal coach, she's really great at inner child work, and just allowing. So a lot of the girls will come through and be like, oh, I recognize a teenager in me, had been suppressed this way and wanted to do this, and a little child in me wanted to do this. But I think a great starter is just to ask yourself, like, what, how does that little boy or little girl inside me, what was suppressed? Whether it was when I was a teenager, I took on certain things and felt that I couldn't speak this up, or this is when I started suppressing my voice. I know VK had asked about the Neil Donald Walsh book, which is a kid's book, and there's tons of little kids books that are so great at, like, for that, it's like realizing that we're all angels of light and we're all best friends of light, and we chose these opportunities to come down and learn and grow. So we made contracts with other people to just come down and assist us. And so that's why when Chris talks about every single person that you're interacting with, every single thing that's showing up in your life, you've attracted to heal your past, and you've attracted it. You can either choose to see it as more shit or more of you're proving right your limiting beliefs, or you can see it as perfect feedback of what you're still attracting to heal these past limiting beliefs you took on when you weren't aware, when you chose to take these things on as a child, so then you can move forward and create something different. I'll tune into and think about if I know a good book necessarily on inner child work, and but I think that's just what came up for me as a great first starter with that.
Yeah, I love the Little Soul in the Sun book.
Yeah,
suggestion.
such a good book.
Definitely read that. Anyone who hasn't read that, read it. And even someone said here you can get it on YouTube. You can read it or something.
Yeah.
Morris, yes, will you post in the group right now asking that and specify which particular documents you wanted so that I can get those posted up?
If you guys have, just along with that, Chris, with that book, if you guys have kids, I have a ton of some of the greatest kids books I have that just, it's like breaking down even what we talk about in just a simplistic form. If you look up Wayne Dyer, Byron Katie, Neil Donald Walsh, they all have like amazing kids books. I actually brought one for my niece and nephew when I came here. It's I'm trying to think of the exact one that I brought. But I have a ton of those just that are our favorite books with my little boys, like The Unstoppable Me by Wayne Dyer, and it's like literally breaks down just your perceptions and your thoughts and your choices. So if you really have kids, that's a great investment, and even allows you to just break it down into simplistic form. If we all just took it on as like being a five-year-old child in that languaging. And this morning, just while we're on that subject, this morning, my little niece, when she saw me, she just like, I did a post on this morning, that she just, right when she saw me, she was like, Auntie, and ran up and jumped in my arms. And then like I was having, sat there with her while she had breakfast, and she's putting on her sunglasses, and she's just like finding joy in everything. And I was just like, how amazing would your experience be if we went into it like a child every day? We leapt into each thing in front of us with excitement, and everything that we're doing, we were like, how can I make this more fun and joyful? Like, why not wear sunglasses at breakfast? Because I can. Why not? You know, like, why people, it's like, why be happy? Because you can. Why choose this perception? Because you can. Why take action moment by moment in curiosity and wonderment and excitement? So what if you're, as you guys are like digging into inner child, just like what is the little child in you want to do right now? Like, how does each thing you're doing, even I've mentioned this before, is like when I do my TV shows that are like around the world, and so it might be a Google Hangout, I'm sitting there like, because I'll ask myself the questions like, how can I experience more joy right now? I'll start rubbing myself and like giving myself love because I can. So just tuning more into, how can I give myself more joy? How can I experience more freedom? How can I experience more love right now? As you continue to ask that question, that might be a great question for on your alarm. How can I experience more joy right now? Every single hour, if you ask yourself, how can I experience more joy right now? How can I make this more fun? I give myself permission, or I choose to make this fun and easy, instead of going into me like, okay, so for Marcia, I got 3 by 3 today. Instead, it's like, oh, I got 3 by 3 today. How can I choose to make this fun and easy? And what if I leapt into it with excitement and curiosity and wonderment? What if your new opportunity, you guys, this week was to look at every experience in front of you? How would I view it as a child that's excited to see what I find in it and what it is? Like, I have no judgments or attachments to it that are negative. I'm simply curious as to see what this is and how I get to make it more fun.
Awesome. Okay, so James said, how do you recommend following up with someone who was all in 2 weeks ago but wouldn't have the money for a couple of weeks? So the key here is that you show up assuming that nothing's changed. If you message in any way that's needy, like, hey man, just wanted to see if we're still on, that, like, your uncertainty, so remembering the key principle is certainty sells. So if you say, hey, wanted to see if we're still on, then you're showing uncertainty. The skill that I would use when I was selling home security systems was, rather than saying, if you got this, you would have one there, or we could put it there, we would say, instead, very assumptively, your motion detector will go right there, your window sensor will go right there, your door sensor's right here, so that as as this happens and this happens. So we're just assuming that is. And even what might even be even better than that is, rather than your thing will go right here, it's with your motion detector here, your window sensor here, and your door sensor there. You know, 1, that no intruders are coming in, and 2, that when your child tries to go out and get in the pool in this backyard, that beep's going to go off and you're going to know, so that you can have that peace of mind. So, and again, back to present tense, even I might even say that more powerfully. So as you're, I might even have them visualize. So just visualize your child going in the backyard and going to the pool, but now visualize having your sensor on this door, triggering the sound, and then you knowing, so that you don't, that something didn't happen while you wasn't paying attention. How awesome does that feel, to know that that's covered? So basically assumptive. When you're reaching out to them, it's like, hey man, we agreed to talk. I'm just following up. Let's connect. And typically I'm not going to handle that conversation over Messenger or anything. So if I wasn't able to close it on the spot, I've taken a very risky step. The chances of them closing is not highly likely. And so I want to get them back on the phone. I don't want to play any games of them being able to hide out behind a text or hide out behind messaging or do any bullshit. So I just want to say, hey man, quickest, shortest way. Hey man, following up, let's get on the phone. And then when I get on the phone, it's, sweet, how have things been going? What's gone down since we last talked? Sweet, what's next? What's next to get you moving forward? So, so it's just whatever is very assertive and assumptive, and just like, of course he's moving forward. So just assume that it's happening and you're just handling the logistics and there's not doubt and question in your mind. Okay, Brandon, love it. I find myself going to 3x3 as more of work than a fun experience, but notice flashes of having fun in Messenger where it's simply amazing. So Brandon, it's probably, so start to identify which times it feels amazing, which times it doesn't. Are there times that you're in your head doing the work because you have to, you're supposed to, because you got to get your numbers, because you need to build your business, because you're scared that you won't make money and all this other shit that's fear-based, versus, cool, who am I going to reach out and serve today? And how am I going to create, like Marci's question, how much more fun can I have in the process of reaching out and connecting with people and making a difference? So a lot of that's just going to be context and the energy of how you're coming at it, and then finding what parts of it don't you love and what parts of it do you love. And it's probably when you're it'd be like if it was dating, if you're just a man whore going around using chicks and having conversations just for the sake of whatever, then you start to feel empty. So same shit with your sales conversations. If you're actually reaching out, you genuinely care, you're creating connection, and whatever, start to identify the difference between when it's on and when it's off, and do more of what works and less of what doesn't work. Okay, Jonathan said the balance in being authentic and living as if I'm where I want to be in 6 months. Not sure if that makes sense. So yeah, Jonathan, it's all key about wording. So sometimes sometimes I close a deal, I'll be like, boom, I closed a $100,000 deal, $150,000 deal, $100,000 deal. I did 300 grand in 5 days. So does that mean that I can go say, I make 300 grand every 5 days? No, that would be a lie. Can I say, let me show you how I made 300 grand in 1 week?
Yes.
Absolutely. Can I say, so what you find is, what can you say that's true, that is inspiring, that isn't a lie whatsoever? And so there's always a way to say it that's true. So if you say, so Jonathan, if you said, say you're launching a lead generation business, if you said, learn my proven system of how I've generated unlimited leads for the last 5 years. Lie. If you said, I've been studying marketing for the last 5 years and I've learned a shit ton about marketing, and I've finally pulled together all the pieces in a dream team where everyone's doing exactly what they're fucking brilliant at. And it's the most easeful process I've ever put together for myself or anybody. And I'm super stoked about what I put together around. I'm calling it limitless leads. If you're ready to have limitless leads in the most easy way possible, having geniuses at your doorstep doing everything for you, and you and no one else being overwhelmed, just having each person specialize, reach out. You're going to frickin' love it. Is that true? Is it authentic? Is it real? Is it of value? Yes. So it's not, so part of it's wording, but the bigger issue is a mindset thing. Well, how can I sell money? I don't feel like I'm rich. Do you know how to generate leads? And if you close deals, then do you make money? Yes. Same for them. If you can help them generate leads and close deals, will they make money? Is there any doubt about that? Period. It's science. It's a given. Every single time. If you can generate leads and have quality sales conversations, you will make money. Now, the third piece of the puzzle to make that money sustainable would be provide a quality service that people love, and then establish systems for referrals and repeat business, etc. Right? That would be the sustainability part. So like Garrett, one time he said, it was a good thing he said, he's like, someone was like, but Garrett, don't you like, who are you to teach me about money? You don't like manage your money very well. And he's like, I didn't say I would teach you how to keep money. I said I'd teach you how to make money. So if you could even teach people how to make money, you can say, hey, I'll teach you how to make money, and be absolutely authentic about that. But if you aren't great at keeping money, don't fucking advertise that you're going to teach someone how to keep money. Now, you know, what's his name? The little budget dude, what's his name?
Yeah. I don't remember.
The guy that thinks he can save
I would just say,
greatness.
why the fuck would I just choose to focus on how to save money when I just can go create more? Yeah, Dave Ramsey, that's it.
Dave Ramsey. So you don't hear me and Marci saying, attend my budgeting course.
Yeah, no, we don't. I'm like, I'll just make more money, and I can create and spend whatever I desire to.
So you don't hear us saying anything about how we're going to teach you how to save money, keep money, budget money, any of that shit.
You wouldn't be wearing a Garmin big-ass watch and knowing the very best if that was the case.
We're talking about how to make money. So Dave Ramsey, does he provide a valuable service? Absolutely. Is that my service or my message? Hell no. Do I actually condone, I actually promote, I don't promote him, but I'll probably attend his course at some point just to hone my ability to manage my money better. But my primary focus is on making money, and you won't see me advertising anytime soon how I'm going to teach you how to save money. But I'll proudly advertise how I will help you make money, because that's part of what I stand for and what I do. Did I answer your question sufficiently?
I have probably a little bit on that, Chris. I want to just add is, so Jonathan, over the so many times, every time I speak at an event or different things, like, people will always introduce me and they're like, Marci is genius at, or one of the only people I know that is super aware of her words. And you know this from being around me at Badass, that I'm very aware of the words that I choose to speak, because every single word has an energy behind it, and it is a manifestation. If I know I am that powerful, why the fuck would I ever say anything I don't want to experience? If I'm tired today, why the fuck would I say I'm tired? Because I'm just asking to feel fucking tired, more tired, and have more shit show up. Instead, I'm like, I'm aware that I get to create some balance today. And like, awesome, I'm aware that I'd love to get to go to bed earlier tonight. And I'm aware that I get to create some energy or do some things to line, or what would I get to move and change today to feel more at peace or be more in flow? Everything is about what I want to experience, because I know how fucking powerful I am. And any time I've ever, if I'm ever the word should or have to or need come out of my mouth, that's like, whoa, fucking big red flag. There is something going on and off, right? So what I want you to, you're already aware of that, but there's a space where Chris is saying, obviously everything, you want to speak truth so it feels authentic. Remember when we talk about words, if you say something that doesn't feel true, your mind, there's a space of judgment inside your mind that goes, I don't feel like that's true, so I'm going to actually, I don't believe you, so I'm going to reaffirm the limiting belief. If I say, I'm rock hard 8-pack abs, so I'm saying what I want to declare that I am, but I have 100 pounds to shed, your body goes, fuck no, you aren't. You are not. And it goes, and so you feel that to be true. So yes, there's the authenticity space, and you can reword anything to be like, oh, what is really true? And then like Chris just gave you genius on that, so I don't need to, I get to what I'm getting to is, I want you to also realize that part of this, I think where I've manifested so huge and just shifted my game so fast, like, and Chris does this, we're so aligned to the creators that we are, that like life is constantly like, it used to go from every 6 months, my life was a massive up level. Then it became every 3 months. Then it became every month and a half. Then it became every 2 weeks. Now it's like, then every week. Then it's like every day and every moment, opportunity and the right people and the right things just show up. We know we're like a post away or a thought away or an idea away from massive shifts and changes, right? So what I want you to realize is, I remember being in the place where I was speaking the bigger game that I wanted to experience, even though I wasn't in that place. And I remember my assistant asking me, she's like, So how do you do that where you're speaking this all the time, this bigger game? So but saying it, that when I set out the intention to do TV, I was like, yeah, I'm intending to when I see myself, I'm doing TV, and then these things showed up for me to do TV. It didn't mean that I was saying, oh, I'm on TV. I wasn't declaring to the world, I'm on TV all over the world. But I was speaking, I'm shifting the masses by, appearing on TV. And so it's like, I want you to be okay with that. You can speak and see and say the things that you want to create and be. You're just not going into a space, like Chris said, where you're speaking something that's inauthentic to what you're promoting to someone else. But to yourself, fucking speak the bigger game. If you don't even see yourself in the bigger game, and you haven't chosen the bigger game, it's just like we talked about last week with definiteness of purpose. You're not even committed to being in. So if you're not okay saying, I am creating this, and this is what I'm receiving, and this is where I see myself going, that's because your deep inner shit of self-worth still blocked to saying, I'm too scared to say it, because what if it doesn't happen? That's perfectionist identity shit that says, I'm too scared to declare it, because if I declare it, then I might fail, and then there's going to be judgment, and so I'll just say, this is where I'm going to go that's easier and safer. So if there feels uneasiness for you when that shows up, when you speak the bigger game, that's a great red flag for you to go, whoa, why am I really scared of saying that? Is that because I'm really afraid of standing in that truth? Is that because I'm really afraid of standing in that power? Whoa, why is that? What's the belief or thought or perception behind that? Where did that belief come from? And get clear on that shit, that resistance, and then you word the affirmation to align to the truth of what you now want to believe and perceive. So if it's like, oh my gosh, I am scared of sharing my gift to the world. Why? Because I'm afraid of judgment. And then you break that down and you go, wow, I'm here just to share my freedom. Like Chris said, do I know how to create leads? Do I know how to do yeah, this has been my journey. I've studied the hell out of marketing. Jonathan, you have so much genius. And yet, so you declaring I am a genius at this is true. If there's a scary game of speaking that, it's because your own shit of judging that a genius should look a certain way or have certain credibility or, certain experience, or it's just your own shit. So speak the bigger game, but when you're promoting it, the difference is when you're promoting it to someone else, it gets to be completely authentic. Or you're just another motherfucker coach who's speaking, they have results that they don't actually have. And that's where it doesn't align to your truth, and you're just going to create resistance. It's not going to show up. Does that assist?
It's epic. And yeah, the deeper thing here, Jonathan, is definitely a self-value, self-worth issue. So let the words be congruent. Be committed to delivering more than you charge for. And
overpromise, underdeliver.
And just show up in full power and knowing and align it. So the truth is, if you have the right team and you have the right tools and systems and people and everything in place, generating leads is just like growing a garden. Just as sure as the skilled gardener generates a bumper crop every time, generating leads is the same thing. So far it's been a pain in your ass because you've been I will do it all for you, man. But you have more knowledge than almost anyone I know about marketing. That's the whole reason why you're here. I walked up to your ass in Vegas because I was like, that dude knows his shit. I know I can help him, and I know he can help me. And I walked up to you, and I had no idea even how much I would end up loving you and seeing your heart and your integrity and your amazingness. But I just knew you knew your shit, and I knew you had some humility. And out of all the people in the room, you're the guy I had a big-ass yes to walking up and connecting with.
Chris even said something to me. He's like, that dude has, power or genius. As after you talked to him, too. You came back and you're like, yep. I was like, go, brother. Divine direction.
So, your heart your knowledge, your value, your connections, your resources is priceless. And the thing is, you know, last night or yesterday I talked about drift, shift, and all of that, and comparison. So when you compare yourself to Colin or Garrett or whoever the fuck you compare yourself to, it's probably easy to think, well, I'm not them, right? I haven't produced the results they've produced. That doesn't mean you don't know maybe even more than they do about marketing. Like, because the bigger issue hasn't been your knowledge on marketing. We've talked about this. It's like so many other online marketing guys out there, internet marketers, who know every damn thing there is to know about internet marketing, but they haven't come to value themselves. So for whatever reason, Colin and Garrett and other people are able to sell themselves, and you haven't been. You break through that, and it's game over. It's game over, right? You've spent years building the skill set. You already had the heart, which is huge. Heart over hype. Bunch of bastards out there that just want to do hype.
Wait,
you already have the heart,
on your crotch.
and you have the knowledge.
I want to see a crotch shot with heart over hype. Yo, snap! I'm sorry, I got distracted.
So you have the heart and you have the knowledge. Now it's just a matter of believing. And recently, the puzzle pieces you've put together, it's a no-brainer. Nice, Morris. It's a no-brainer. So let your words be congruent. Own your value. Bottom line, Jonathan, if you walked with anybody and they're willing to show the fuck up, and you just kept walking with them and you said, this is your next step. I believe in you. You can do this. Okay, see the vision. Remember, this is what we're creating. This is where you're going. And you just shared your knowledge and just encouraged them to move forward. That's more than enough value in and of itself. So the comparison game gets to end. And the other thing you get to realize is you don't have to be better than anybody. I don't need to. Does Tony Robbins know how to sell $1 million package for 8 15-minute sessions? He sure as fuck does. Have I created that yet? I have not. Maybe I should quit. I quit, guys. I can't do it. Tony Robbins is better. And the rest of you are fucked, because me and Marci beat you to it and Tony Robbins beat you to it, so don't even try. Right? So that's a lie. I'm just teasing, just to make sure. But the point is, you're not trying to get Tony Robbins to hire you. You're not trying to get me to hire you. Actually, I do hire you, and I'm glad that I do. And all that you have to be in order to have someone, all that you get to be in order to have someone hire you, is a few steps ahead of them on the journey. You don't have to have mastered it. You don't have to be the best. You don't have to know it all. You don't have to do it perfect. All you get to be is a few steps further up the mountain in the journey that they're on than they are. I mean, even look at our relationship. I know more about marketing than you do. You know more about marketing than I do. And I'm having a conversation with you about marketing right now. I'm empowering you to market yourself, and you know more about marketing than I do. Is that not true of you versus 95% of the people in the world? You have more consciousness. If you combine your consciousness, your heart, and your knowledge of marketing, and that combination, aren't you qualified to lead 95% of the people in the world on those topics? Yeah, so take out your calculator, Run the numbers real quick. There's 7 billion people, 95%. How many potential clients are there? You getting this? You feeling any feelings about it? You feel some sadness and some joy? Good. Okay, anything else, anybody? You're welcome.
I just want to reiterate, Chris, what you just tapped on. And guys, this was huge for me in dropping the story that I could step out and share my gifts and genius. Because even for me, I remember when they came up for me to start speaking nutrition fitness expert. And it was like, who am I to say I'm a nutrition fitness expert? I mean, like, and all those old stories and shit wants to come up like, you know, thinking, oh, someone's going to find out I don't know enough, or someone's going to call me out and be like, well, do you know this? And what's your credibility? And what have you studied? And all this other shit. When I realized I am just here to deliver and I've told you guys this before, I'm just here to share my journey. I'm just here to share what is the freedom I now know from what I've learned on my path. And so when you drop the stories that you being an expert, or you are an expert in what you know. You're an expert on your journey. You're an expert on what you've learned because it's been your journey. So as long as you're claiming to be true, only what you're sharing, what you're here to share, that's you. You're not claiming, like, I don't go out and be like, hey, I'm the world's best nutrition fitness expert. I'm the ultimate mindset coach. I mean, it's like Chris and I said, there's a million other people in this game. We're only here to say, this is what we have learned, and this is what we're choosing to share, and this is where our genius is. And if you're a step ahead of someone else, you have more knowledge and gifts and freedom to share with them that can liberate them. You could be one step ahead of them. A couple steps, great, but one idea, one thought, one process, one thing, and you can make massive shifts for somebody. It blows my mind sometimes how just going through one processing or one thing with one client is like a massive game changer for their whole entire world. And you have that. So remember, so as you're speaking your bigger game, Jonathan, and it comes up for you like the notice the feelings show up. Remember, Chris said the master knows. It's like when your feelings show up that there's fear there. Tune into that. Like, why am I really afraid? And you break that down. Remember the truth that is, I'm just here to share my journey, my freedom. So then what's the step and the new perception belief? What's this action step I get to take? And then you do that post. You do that thing that says, yes, I'm here to share this genius. This is what I figured out. And take it a moment at a time. And each time, and then you're building. So now, do you guys think I have an issue saying I'm a nutrition fitness expert? Or that I'm a mindset expert? Fuck no. But in the past, it was like, oh, can I say this? It's like when I, had a, I won't make a comment about my vagina. But it was like when I was way more of a pussy because I wasn't standing in my truth. So, but instead, I took it a moment of time of going, what am I doing? What am I sharing? You got it, brother. I am not normal, James. Thank you. And hard-ons are normal.
So the same thing happened later on in Marci's journey as well. Marci, remember, like, there was a point where they were like, would you teach me business? And everyone was coming, and you teach me business? Will you teach me business? And you're like, I'm a fitness expert, body, mind. I'm not qualified to do business. Maybe you should talk to Christopher. And and then you're like, no, yeah. And you were shown that shit, you create $100,000 a month doing business. Maybe that you're fucking qualified to teach business.
Yeah, and see, this is, guys, just opening up our perceptions. And again, this is where, as you get curious, so I remember when in the past, it was, I just want to create value. I just want to transform lives. And it was Garrett who was like, Mars, if you don't become a master marketer of your business, you're fucked. You'll always be a victim of circumstance trying to get someone else to run the business side. So I became like, okay, I'm excited to learn how to become a master marketer. And I remember him saying, I used to hate it and I never wanted to touch it and do it, and now I love it. And I was like, yeah, right. Like, and now I'm like, I fucking love seeing that I can do one epic post and get massive results. And I love knowing that if I have an internet connection and, a computer, I can fucking make money. and it's not, and that is liberating. So that became something I loved and I thrived off of. And yes, when I was creating Goddess, I felt like all these people were coming to me and being like, they wanted to know how to up their game in business. And I was thinking, well, I'm not a business coach. And it was Jesse Elder who said, like, well, why do you consider yourself not a business coach? And I'm like, because it's just not what I do. And I didn't think I had a passion for it. And then when I shifted the perception and was really talking through it with Chris, that allowed me to see, like, yeah, I know business, but I just didn't ever perceive myself as a business coach. Now almost every single high-end client I have people who are fitness experts as my personal clients around the world. They didn't come to me for the body. They came to me because they're like, how did you build what you do and how do you manifest what you manifest? Part of that genius is the inner game becoming aligned, and that's what I thrive off of. But the second part is like, now how do we actually take action and create the results with our business to manifest? And I love that too. And if I didn't allow myself to shift the perception that was part of my genius, that I did have something to share and do it, I would have found that I love and thrive off of that as well. Now almost every people that go through my masterminds to personal clients, almost all of them quadruple their income within 90 days because the inner game gets shifted, and we're sharing these tips and these tricks as well. So that did come up for me too when you were talking about that. So thanks, Chris, for bringing that up. Is that as you're building new evidence, and if you question these thoughts and say, well, why couldn't I do this? And it was also when I decided, okay, I'm doing $100,000 a month, and I reverse engineered. I'm like, that's $5,000 a day. What would that get to look like? All of a sudden, my mind saw there were people raising their hands that were like, will you teach me business? And I hadn't considered it before until I realized, well, yeah, okay, I know these things. I know what they're looking for. I know how to do Facebook strategy. I know these things. I can teach them that. That allowed me to up level to even a whole nother income bracket because there was more of my genius to share. So always, always questioning the thoughts, and it's the feeling or the thought that's going to stop you. Question that, and you find a whole new zone of genius or a whole new aspect of things that you thrive off of when you give yourself permission to experience it and to get curious about it, to try it, to find out what you really love.
I'd like to back that up for sure. I was convinced that sales and marketing was the farthest thing. And like I just avoided it like the plague. And the truth is, I was scared of rejection. And so the constriction wasn't that it wasn't my genius. The constriction was that I was scared of losing approval. I was scared of fully shining. I was scared of, all that other shit. And so as I just stepped in and kept doing it and doing it, now I feel the same about marketing and sales conversations as I do about coaching conversations. It's simply me connecting with people and serving them and connecting with them in a powerful way. I'm getting more and more passionate about it. It's like Steve Jobs said, he came to know people more than computers and built computers based around people. So that's something that I strive for, is just knowing people and creating accordingly. So yeah, that's what I got.
Awesome.
I think that's a wrap, huh?
I think so.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Create an amazing day.
Love you guys.